Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining in tonight. This is the second installment on how to budget. Specifically, I'm focusing on how to budget when you've been laid off or you've had a reduction in your hours for your regular income. The idea of this presentation actually popped in my head a couple of weeks ago. It's the steps and process I not only teach, but fortunately or unfortunately, I'm experiencing and doing in my own life currently. I was laid off from my day job the end of April. And as they say, sometimes the best way to learn is by doing, right? So let's get started. And it's not as scary as you think. My name is Roxanne Langley. I'm a trained master financial coach based in Houston, Texas, but I work with clients all over the U.S. So just a couple of housekeeping items. If you have any questions, any comments that you may think of as you're watching the presentation, please, down at the bottom in the comments section, put your comments, put your questions, and I will answer them. Also, if by chance you don't want to answer questions publicly, this is my cell phone number, my email, and also my Instagram business page. You can contact me directly, text message, email me, call me, and I'm here to help. So I will get back to you and give you any and all answers that I can. So what we're going to be covering today is, what exactly is a financial coach, some unemployment facts and information for the state of Texas. Now, I'm going to assume that perhaps they're probably fairly close state to state, but please check with your state unemployment or their workforce, or whatever the terminology is used there, and let me know if they're close to the state of Texas. How to start budgeting from where you are right now, with lots of tips and items that you can check and look out for, and also the stimulus check information. Now, I'm asked a lot of times, what does a financial coach do, and why do I enjoy doing it? Like most coaches, it's going through your own journey. Whether you're a business coach, a life coach, a physical fitness coach, it's going through your own journey. And for me, it was paying off large debts, to the tune of somewhere around $50,000 that I paid off. Took a while, yes. Going through bankruptcy, nothing in savings, so to speak, that pushed me to a point finally to where I said I was done with living that way. What I was doing wasn't working, obviously, and I wanted more out of life than only getting up in the morning, going to work just to pay the bills. The decisions that we make, the ones our parents and even our grandparents made at the time, have a way of trickling down. And so making better decisions now really sets your family up for financial stability later, and plant some good habits. Yes, it takes discipline, a whole lot of patience, but I promise it's not something you can't learn. And as my coach tells me, a coach's job is to guide you through the steps. Be that accountability partner that will ask the tough questions. And the first couple of months, I even sit down with you and we write your budget together. I will explain every step of the way. The training that I received and continue receiving, it's a teachable process. It's not crazy complicated, or maybe it's a little scary when you first start out, but it's just take some time, and I promise it does work. you can learn to get out of debt, start saving for retirement, and take control of your money. Now, some, you know, I wouldn't say fun facts. The reality is right now in the state of Texas, or I'm sorry, in the US, we have somewhere around 33 million people unemployed. I had heard yesterday morning on one of the news stations that the 1st of June, when the numbers come out, it may be close to 40 million. So I'm not telling you anything you haven't heard. If you're in this situation, like many of us, now is the time to get control of your money. It's past time. I mean, this is it. If you need to sign up for unemployment benefits, go to twc.texas.gov. Click on Apply for Benefits. It's on the left side of the screen, and it's small lettering, but it's there. It takes you through a short process of setting up your user ID. You'll set up a password and a PIN. Now, the online instructions are actually fairly easy to follow. It's mostly click and choose, A, B, or C, or yes or no. It shouldn't take you more than about 25, 30 minutes. One key piece of information, though, that you'll need are your employment, state, and ending dates, the month, day, and years. And then you will also need your weekly income amount. Now, if you're paid monthly or biweekly, simply divide your monthly amount by 4 and enter that amount into your weekly income amount. TWC will send you an email within 48 hours to confirm whether you are eligible or not. It will also tell you what the benefit dollar amount is that you're eligible for. Now, one thing to keep in mind is once you apply that very first time, from the time you apply for benefits, they have to process and verify everything on their end to make sure that, there's not any problems with your prior employer. So you won't receive your first check for about 3 weeks, 3.5 weeks. So, give or take that into consideration when your household expenses are due. So just know that once you apply, the first check will be about 3 weeks or so before you receive it. Now, in the state of Texas, the maximum eligible weekly benefit is $521. Currently, though, due to the COVID, there's a federal unemployment weekly maximum benefit of $600. That's paid along with the state. So if, in essence, if you are eligible for the weekly benefit for the maximum, you could, in essence, bring in $1,121 for 1 week. Also, another little thing to pay attention to when you're filling out your benefit application, they ask you whether you want them to withhold 10% for income taxes. My recommendation is to answer yes. Now, the last thing you want to do next year when we're all filing our taxes is to have an extra tax bill. So this, they withdraw, they will withhold it and pay it in just like our regular paychecks do. So that's a recommendation that I do make is yes, tell them to withhold the 10%. Yeah. Now the federal benefit, that extra $600, that benefit ends July 25th. So there is talk, it may be extended, but until we're officially notified one way or another, just plan on that additional 600 stopping July 25th. Now, that does not include your Texas state benefit. That will continue if you're not working. So how to budget from where you are today. It's a little different right now than it was a couple months ago. You know, some practical ways to get started with what you have right now. Know that a budget is the foundation to gaining control and your financial success. I sit down at least 3 to 4 times every month and work on my budget. Now, right now, I'm sitting down a little bit more than that. I'm usually at least once or at least once a week, if not twice a week, just to double check and make sure everything's okay. I've done a budget for about 9 years now, and honestly, I can't imagine not doing it. It's the structure that everything is built on, and without it, financial goals are not as clear. It's a little more difficult to reach. I tend to forget, like a lot of us, we get a lot on our plate and things go by the wayside. So with a budget, you give every dollar a job. You tell that $50 where to go, what to pay for, what to cover. And really, without the clear and written plans, there's a saying in our little financial coach group that money leaks out of our budgets or out of our bank accounts every month. And it really does. All of a sudden, you just, it's kind of like, well, I had $500. What happened? And when you don't budget and tell your money where to go, it has this habit of leaking. Like any new habit, it takes time to learn, and that's okay. Just like when we commit to eating healthier or walking more, it's the same healthy habit that's worth building. Give yourself a lot of grace when you first start and while you're learning how to budget. It may be 5-6 months before you start to really feel confident, and that's fine. That's okay. You're learning. It's not going to happen overnight. Now, your January budget numbers will be different from February a little bit. From normal times, your budget, there'll be some changes a little bit here and there. Right now, they're vastly different, for May and June and July. So there'll always be basic similarities, such as your cell phone, that amount pretty much doesn't change from one month to the other, like your rent or your mortgage payment. It's the same every month. Currently though, since we're dealing with a reduced income, the budget's going to be a lot tighter right now. And so while you're learning, and especially learning to cut back and really watch, go easy on yourself. It's worth it. So I'm going to park on this slide for a bit. There's a lot of information, and if by chance you want to take a screenshot of this slide, I welcome you to do that. Or if you have problems doing that, let me know and I will send it to you directly, because this is your list building. And I know I like my list. I tend to get a whole lot more done when I have a list. So step 1, make a list of your monthly priorities. Now I call these your 4 walls. These are the items you spend money on each and every month, no matter what. Your rent or mortgage, your utilities, electric, gas, water, whatever that is for you, all of it. Transportation, that's gas for the car. Do you have a car payment, insurance, your toll tag? Of course, food, medical insurance, and your phone and internet. And especially now, since so many of us are working from home, keep an eye on your phone and internet charges. You may need to update or upgrade. If you find yourself late or not able to make payments in your four walls, please let me know. Reach out to me. There are steps and telephone calls, we can make to place things on hold or deferment. This doesn't mean you don't owe the money. It means steps can be taken to defer to be paid later as you get things rolling again. But above all, your four walls are your priorities each and every month. Now, step 2 is a little different. This is list your yearly and irregular expenses. A calendar helps me keep track of these. Just print off, write it on a budget calendar or your desktop calendar. But, it's things like birthdays, anniversaries, special holidays. Is the homeowner's insurance, is it paid yearly, or do you escrow it in with your mortgage payment? Car insurance, do you pay that monthly, or is it a quarterly or yearly payment? Mark your calendar with these. When does the registration and inspection come up on your car or cars? Yearly memberships, Amazon Prime, Costco, Sam's Club. Now, don't stress yourself out about assigning actual dollar amounts yet. Just get your list together, and like I said, if you use a calendar, I would put them on the calendar. It helps you kind of stay on top of when they're due and when they're coming up. Now, other little considerations to take, and sometimes this is a little tough to do. It's filtering your wants versus your needs. With a reduced income currently, you may want to keep the Costco membership, but do you really need it right now? You may be better off canceling it for the moment. And you can always resubscribe later. Gym memberships. Not a lot of us are going to the gym now. Do you need to cancel it and redo it later? Ask yourself what is required right now and what is not. Stop any extra debt payments. If you have been paying extra principal payments to get your mortgage down, great job. But right now, since you're in storm mode, if let's say you pay an extra $200 to reduce the principal payment on your mortgage, just throw that $200 over into a savings account if you don't need it to cover something in your four walls. For the time being, your IRA, stop your IRA contributions or your 401k contributions if those are still in effect. Just stop them temporarily. Couple of things to pay attention and not do, as well, is no payday loans. Avoid doing payday loans at all cost. It's a path that you really don't want to go down. Yeah, they're legal, but they have such an insanely high interest rate. And really, once you get started with those, it is so difficult to get away from them. Also, do not withdraw money from your IRA, from any of your retirement accounts. When you withdraw under the age of 59 and a half, it is counted as income. So not only have you reduced your future financial goals, but next year, again, when we're working on taxes, you will need to declare it as income and pay taxes on it. So the only time that I recommend touching your retirement accounts is if you are in a foreclosure or a bankruptcy situation. And that's a whole other topic. So please, no payday loans and no withdrawing from your retirement accounts. Now, the last step and the last list is you want to put together a list of all the money you have right now. How much is in your savings account? Do you have an emergency fund? How much is in there? What is your checking account balance? Do you have other investment accounts that are not retirement related that you could get to if needed? You want to make all this money that's in the savings and emergency funds, you want to make that money last as long as possible. So whenever new money comes in, for instance, your stimulus check or unemployment, or if you take on a side hustle, what does this money need to do? Where does it need to go? Which category? And by having a written budget, you can glance at these numbers very quickly and easily and determine what needs to be done and what can wait. So now this is the kind of the meat of the bones here. So let's work on a budget. And on the left side of the screen, I have done the original monthly budget pre-job layoff. We have a monthly income of $4,000. That is adjusted to your numbers, but underneath the original monthly budget on the left side are the expenses for that month. So we have $4,000 coming in, and we have assigned $4,000 to specific monthly bills, savings account, cash, fund money. There is, if you look near the bottom, I think it's like the fourth or fifth from the bottom, I have a buffer expensed in there. Some people call that the Murphy fund, when Murphy comes to visit. That buffer fund is those are the just in case. Oh, I forgot the Costco membership renews this month. Or it could be something that you've overspent somewhere else. So it's just a little extra added insurance to your money, but you account for it, so that if you look at the bottom, it's, I don't have any money left remaining to budget. I have 4,000 in, I have 4,000 out. That's called a zero-based budget. Now, on the right-hand side of the slide here, it's a little different story. So, you have, and I'm going to move my screen out of the way here so that you can see this. Okay, there we go. On the right side, it looks a little different. This is how to budget from where you are right this moment. So you start your income section with your current checking account balance. List any deposits that you may be making through the month. If this is a refund from your car insurance, or your unemployment benefits, or side jobs that you're doing, anything any income that you bring in. So this is where you're going to list this. Now, as for expenses, you can see, and I'm going to move my cursor over here. You can see, but my four walls, my mortgage is the same. I've carried that over. My insurance is the same. My cell phone, auto for my gas, that's actually reduced. I'm not driving quite as much right now. My groceries, however, have increased. I'm home a little more right now. There are things that I have stopped temporarily. So savings for vacation, I'm eliminating that at the moment. Extra principal payments to the mortgage, IRA contribution. And if you look down here at the bottom, actually what I've done is my total expenses are $2,157. And right now I've overspent. I'm short $248.28. This is where writing it down, you see it in black and white. You know exactly what you need, and when you need it for a particular month. You know, now, if let's say this was the end of the month and I had no other funds coming in, this was it. That was it. Now, the $248 shortage needs to be covered, of course. So one of the things that I can do is, well, maybe I take this buffer right here and I lower that to $50 to set aside. Um, Maybe I take this cash on hand and I lower that to 40, you know. So that picks up a little bit, but I'm still overspent. It's still short. So what I would need to do is go to my savings account or my emergency fund to cover the deficit. May not need to do that every month, but you may. But seeing it in black and white like this, instead of trying to remember, did I pay? When is this due? What do I need to do? Have I missed something? This really, it really does help. And whether it's on something like an Excel spreadsheet or your legal pad or a budgeting app, just this helps keep track of it. And this is really what you want to do. Okay, so I'm going to move my screen back up here at the top out of the way. No, I'm not. It's still, okay. Sorry about that. So tips to budget. If you have a budget app on your phone, enter the transaction immediately. I know people that I've got clients that when they get out to their car, they immediately, if they went into the grocery store and spent $50, they immediately log it into their budgeting app right then. There are several budgeting apps out there and many of them are free. Try some out, see if you like them. Personally, it's not something I use, but I have several clients, they love them. Personal preference here is what you're going for. It helps you get into the habit. Receipts, wrap them around your debit card or have a designated spot in your wallet. The key to this is make it a routine to check and record them in your checkbook and in your budget category. It's just keeping control of what you've spent. Check your bank account each day. Now, I know a couple of fellow coaches, they check their bank account every night before they go to bed. That would drive me crazy, but it's what works for you. Do it. One of the things that I do is, for instance, I bank at Chase. Now, I have my account set up that I receive a daily email that shows every transaction that cleared, whether it was a debit or a deposit the night before. The other thing I have set up are alerts on my checking account. Whenever a charge greater than $75, and you can typically tailor that for you can do it at $50 or $100, whatever. But I get a text message immediately when it's approved. This is great for two reasons. One, immediately when a debit goes through your account, that money is spent. Second, if there's a fraudulent charge to your account, you can call the bank right then and tell them what's going on. This was something that happened to me, oh gosh, I guess it was maybe about 6 years ago. I was on vacation in California, strolling down the sidewalk, on a beautiful holiday weekend, and this text message comes in. Someone had stolen my debit card number while I was there and went online and ordered a computer to the tune of about $350. Obviously it wasn't me, but I called the bank. We stopped it literally within minutes of it happening. So if you don't receive or you don't have the daily emails or text alerts with your bank, go online or give them a call and find out what's available. You know, what service do they offer on that? I believe most of them are free. So it just gives you a little extra peace of mind and keeping track of what's coming in and what's going out. Now, overspending, we all do it, and it's going to happen. You know, don't get all upset and beat yourself up about it. If you find you spent more in a category, then find another category you could reduce by that amount. You know, for instance, you overspent in the fund money or in your cash. You know, it happens. We find a great sale or something unusual or out of the ordinary comes up and we overspend. You know, you roll with the punches and you keep on going. So here in my example, you know, I overspent by $50. So I've reduced my food budget by 50. I still have a zero-based budget. So the important part is don't stop. You're not a failure. We all do it every month. So it's just roll with the punches and make your adjustments and move forward. Okay, so I'm going to move this back up here out of the way. All right. Calendar. I talk about a calendar for marking your yearly expenses. Also, if you have several of your bills set up on automatic draft that pays through your checking account, this is an effective way to make sure you don't miss any of them when you're logging everything into your budget. Now, note them on the calendar. You know, it could be, this is just a generic calendar page that I printed off, I think from Google. And it's, you know, I don't have it by the month. These are payments that, for instance, for the most part, all of us have a rent or mortgage payment that's due on the 1st. Now, add what you have automatically deducted. You know, your insurance, if there's a car payment, if there's a credit card payment due, you know, good old Netflix, you know, just log, and it just helps you, again, helps you keep track of your bills and your money going in and going out. In the beginning, you know, you will spend some time putting this all together, but once it's all together, then you will save so much time and money later. Our stimulus checks. Now, there are actually millions of people that still have not received their stimulus check. You know, there's a couple of things. If you're not sure if you're eligible or not, go to irs.gov to find out if you're eligible. If you are, it will also tell you how much you're eligible for. You know, the paper checks were just starting to hit the mail the end of last week. I think it was May 22nd that they started being mailed. So those checks will start coming into you probably the end of this week, first of next week. These are the paper checks for people that did not receive it directly deposited into their bank accounts. So this is not a second round. This is the original stimulus checks that were sent out. If you have any issues, any problems determining if you're eligible or not, let me know and I'll help you. Now, once you receive the check, what do you do with it? You treat it as normal income into your account. Now, this is normal income. This is, you know, this is an extra that will help you. You know, are you late on any of your obligations, on any of your four walls, your home, utilities, transportation? You know, if you don't need it immediately to cover an expense or a past due obligation, please add it to your savings account. Depending on how long all of this is going to last, More than likely, you may need to get to it later, but for the moment, just let it set in savings. Like if you go back to my example, I was short a little over $200. If I didn't have anything else coming in, or I didn't have an emergency fund, then this is where I would use part of my stimulus check to cover that shortage. But this is just a one-time, as we know so far, this is a one-time distribution. Um, so treat it as such. Because when no new money is coming in, it's time to protect what you have. Remember, you're in control of your money. Your money does not control you. So, yeah. Okay, we've made it to the end, and I'm sure that I have probably glazed your eyes over, with all this information. This was a lot to throw at you, and it can be overwhelming, and I know it can be. But again, remember, you are in control of your money. It does not control you. So if you would like any budgeting forms, the Excel budget template that I used in the presentation, please let me know. The actual template is larger than what I used in the presentation, as I copied and pasted spots that I wanted to use. The full template, I will show you how to use it and get it started for you. There are budget forms that you can print off and fill in, paper and pencil. It's hard to beat that sometimes. I have all kinds of forms like that. If you want to, legacy forms of keeping track of where you have life insurance or savings accounts and insurance, information. You are more than welcome to any of these. Please email me, Roxanne Financial Coach @gmail.com, or you can text me. Let me know what you need. Forms, information, help. I want to invite you to ask questions. My contact information again is here on the slide. I want to do more of these presentations for you. So if you have suggestions or comments about a specific topic, or even if it's just a generalized, throw them at me. Let me know what you want to learn, what you need to learn. It's not scary. It is scary at times, but remember that information empowers you to make better financial decisions for you, for your family. And with that, you gain confidence. I can do it. I can make it through this month, even though my income has been reduced, or I can make it through these couple of months, even though you can get there. Thank you so much for joining me. And again, reach out, let me know. I am Roxanne Langley, and I'm your personal financial coach. And thank you again for sharing this time.